Today on Fresno State Focus, we will get some perspective around the stock that has shook the internet and the market.
We will also get a look at how a furry friend has brought comfort during the pandemic.
Plus, a glimpse into the journey of one Fresno State football walk-on and the road ahead. Fresno State Focus starts now.
Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Ashley Carter.
And I'm Wyatt Babb.
It's a new semester in so many ways this spring 2021. Fresno State welcomed additional students to in-person learning, just like us here at Fresno State Focus. A lot of other students are still learning virtually. With midterms coming up, keeping motivated can be hard. One of these students is Haley Botello. Before the pandemic, she was always surrounded by friends on campus and in class. Not being able to see them has affected her. Botello is almost done with her undergrad studies. This gives her the motivation to finish the semester strong.
It would be just to know that I'm almost done with it and that I can start moving forward and start just wanting to get into the program for my graduate program for kinesiology.
Botello hopes that by next semester she is able to learn on campus. Since her major requires a lot of hands-on learning, that would be beneficial to her.
The value of GameStop stock is settling down after an investment frenzy. Some Fresno State students are reflecting on what they learned about the stock market and how social media, specifically the site Reddit, can have such a strong influence. Trevor Widger shows us what potential investors need to know going forward.
Some Americans made thousands of dollars recently with just a few keystrokes on their computer or some taps on their phone. No, it wasn't an online casino, it was GameStop stock. While this story has many thinking about investing for the first time, one local student says that even though he did make a bit of money, the overall experience left him with a cautionary tale.
Only invest what you can afford to lose. When you look around and stuff, you can see these people who lost over $100,000 because they put all in or got a loan on something. Never do that.
Online investors bought into GameStop stock after they realized hedge funds would have to buy them back due to a process known as shorting. Shorting is betting that a stock will lose value. Essentially, traders temporarily borrow shares of the stock and then immediately sell it at its current price, let's say $5. Then, after the price goes down, they buy back those shares for, let's say, $2 and get to pocket the difference. Experts warn that the process of shorting carries significant risk if the price of a stock fails to go down.
I advise investors not to short. Shorting is very risky. Shorting nowadays, you have to borrow the shares on margin. Also, you have to pay interest on that. And when you short a stock, the loss is unlimited.
Though GameStop's journey has mostly concluded, the internet's impact on trading has likely just begun. In Fresno, Trevor Widger, Fresno State Focus.
GameStop stock climbed once more this week to over $100 a share. While it's unlikely to recapture its previous height of nearly $350 a share, analysts and investors continue to monitor the stock as a case study in social media's impact on the market.
Recently, two young men were held at gunpoint in Clovis. It started out as a normal trip to the grocery store one night for Garrett Knitzer and his friend. They went to Food Max on Shaw Avenue around 10 one night, and things took a turn as they headed back to their car. A man approached them in the parking lot and left them with an experience they won't forget.
And he runs up and grabs my bag and then pulls me around and says, "Give me your bag." So I look at him, me and my friends look at each other like, okay, 2-on-1. But then he pulls out a gun and points it right at my forehead and says, "Give me your bag." So I gave my bag.
Unfortunately, during this pandemic, violent crime is up in our area. As you can see from the Clovis Police Facebook page, there were 22 residential burglaries in Clovis in January compared to 13 last January. There were 76 vehicle burglaries compared to 46 last year. That's scary. Is this all because of the pandemic? And how can we keep ourselves safe? Crime Analysis Supervisor Callie Piaggi from the Clovis Police Department tells us about crime rates and gives us some advice.
I would describe them a little lower on some areas and a little higher in others. Obviously, last year with COVID was a unique year, but we did actually go up in some areas in comparison to 2019.
What areas of crime are increasing?
Mostly the areas that increased in 2020 compared to 2019 were property crimes. So vehicle burglaries, theft from vehicles, burglaries, commercial burglaries, residential burglaries, grand theft auto, those type of crimes.
Is there anything that residents can be aware of or do to keep themselves safer?
One of the biggest things, especially for vehicle burglaries, is just locking your vehicle. That is a huge deterrent. There's there's those that'll break into your vehicle no matter what. And then there's those that just walk along and they just test the vehicle to see if the vehicle's unlocked or not. The other thing is taking your property out of your vehicle, that, things like your purses, briefcases, laptops. And I understand that you can't take everything out, or you're out in public and you're not going to take things out. And that's unfortunate, it's unfortunate that the crime is happening. But yeah, those little things like that can just be a deterrent. For like residential burglaries, those can be just having cameras, video systems are extremely helpful. Also, things, just things like putting valves in your windows so that they can't open. It doesn't have to be a huge alarm system that you use. Little things can deter.
We have been talking with Callie Biaggi today. Thank you so much, Callie.
Thank you.
Lockdowns and quarantine have put a significant emotional stress on everyone. A lot of people have found a solution. As Tanya Gareva shows us, they are adopting pets to help cope.
A lot of people miss getting out and socializing with others. So instead, they are socializing with a new pet.
I do miss hanging out with my friends, going out into public places.
Megan Bowen is one of those people who found a solution from quarantine loneliness. She got a dog. This is Kovu.
Having him has helped me to not, struggle as much.
The pandemic took away a lot of opportunities for social communication. That's where our pets come in. Fresno State psychology professor Amanda Mortimer believes that our connection with animals is a part of our need for interaction with people.
We have less contact with other human beings. And again, I very much feel like relationships with our animals are related to our inborn need for contact with other people. So it gives us somebody safe to love.
Megan says Kovu is an important part of her everyday life. He is the best friend who is always here for her.
It's nice having like someone, he's me. Yeah, so something to come home to, and he's always excited. He's like gave me love and affection, and he keeps me busy.
Which can be a big help to a person's mental health.
It really decreases our anxiety and upsetness when we can spend time loving on our pets.
But you have to remember that emotional support animal is more than just a friend, and you have to take full responsibility of taking care of them as well. Well, sometimes it can get a little bit messy. Tonya Gureva, Fresno State Focus.
While companion animals help to lower anxiety and stabilize mental health, they also require great care and attention. Be sure to remember to do your research before adding a new friend to your family. To help with your new companion, Tasha Turner is here to give you a few tips on what is needed to make sure your pet stays healthy.
So you got yourself a pet during quarantine. Now comes the hard part, having to take care of that pet. I'm here with Dr. Williams, a veterinarian at Waterhouse. So first things first, what vaccines would you recommend they get that pet?
So that depends on what your lifestyle will be like, but definitely want to make sure they get all their core vaccines. And then depending on what yours and the pet's lifestyle will be, the vet will talk to you about kind of risk-based vaccines depending on that.
All right, and how many times should they be going in for like a checkup?
So puppies and kittens, it's much more frequently, usually once a month. And then as adults, if they're otherwise doing well, usually every 6 months to maybe once a year, just for an annual checkup to make sure everything's going well.
And how many times should they be feeding their pet?
Usually twice a day works for most animals. Some have a preference otherwise, but usually twice a day.
Do you have any brands that you would recommend?
I really like Hill Science Diet, Purina Pro Plan, and Royal Canin. Those companies have a lot of good quality control standards and put a lot of effort and research into their products. And so they have really, really good products.
And what's one brand that you would recommend them avoid?
Personally, I avoid raw diets. They have a high risk for salmonella and E. coli and can make you sick as well as your pet.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. Williams. You have been a great help for new pet owners. So turns out that your pet has to have doctor visits, just like you do. In Fresno, Tasha Turner with Fresno State Focus.
Coming up on Fresno State Focus, a look at how the past summer's devastating fires near Shaver Lake have raised concerns in winter weather.
Plus, we'll learn how one Fresno State professor has earned a substantial grant for her work with major health problems.
And I'll let you know when spring-like conditions will linger in the valley.
At Fresno State, being bold means committing to something greater than yourself. It's learning by doing and nurturing leaders to advance our shared future. It's using research to create a better life for those around us and healing those who need us most. These are our stories, because at Fresno State, bold begins here.
Success. At Fresno State, it's no secret. It's discovering new ways to change our world. It's creating opportunities as diverse as our community itself. It's in the distinction of our graduates as they lead us into the future. Success is no secret at Fresno State. It's our mission.
I'm Gio Rada with your focus on weather. Looking in front of the Henry Mile Library, we see that the skies are blue and there's no wind blowing right now, so it's a perfect day to be outdoors. Looking at our nationwide satellite, we see that there is some rain leaving the East Coast area right now, and there's some snow over the New England area, so all of this blue is snow at the moment. To the south, we see that there is some rain over the Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi states, so that's something to keep in mind. Our western satellite shows that there is no rain in view, but there's some clouds over the Pacific Northwest that is lingering all the way down to California. But in our area, there's nothing that is going to be affected, so it's dry and beautiful weather right now. Today's high is going to be in the 70s all over the valley, except for the Sierra, so 63 in Mariposa, 64 in Oakers, and 54 in Shaver Lake. Tonight's temperature is going to be around the low 30s to 40s, so 41 in Modesto, 39 in Madera, and 41 in Fresno. Your focus on air quality is good for all of these counties and moderate for Fresno and Tulare counties. Our extended outlook for today is mostly sunny with 69. Tomorrow and Friday, the temperatures will increase a little bit, but Saturday and Sunday, the temperatures will decrease, and we're going to have some lingering showers, and cool weather will continue for our area until next week. And that is your focus on weather.
With snow on the ground, it's hard to remember when the mountains around us were on fire. September wasn't that long ago, but for people who lived through the Creek Fire, it feels like just yesterday. From firefighters to residents, everyone had their own unique experiences. It started September 4th and just kept growing. The Creek Fire is the 4th largest in California history. Memories for everyone are vivid, and the people in Shaver Lake thought they were going to lose their town.
This is my hometown, so when you're a firefighter and you're working in your backyard, it's a little bit more personal attachment. You know you want to work just as hard as you would anywhere else to try to do everything you can to save your property.
A lot of people and businesses lost their property, but not everyone. By a miracle, the Rivera's family cabin is still standing in a sea of ash.
Pretty. You're one lucky dog. He sent me a video of my cabin standing, and it was still smoke coming through. You can see smoke through the sides of the thing where everything was still kind of smoldering. And that, to me, that was the best text message I ever got. So happy for you.
Shaver is now filled with snow, but it looks a bit different. In some areas, snow is coming down on trees and wildlife, while in other areas, it falls on charred land. Recovery efforts are underway to clear debris and dead trees from burned areas. Even with snow on the ground, we're continuing to see effects from the creek fire, as rocks that were once rooted in the ground were dislodged in the fire, and there's now concern that they could go rolling down hillsides. Another effect we're seeing is that the agriculture and vegetation in the mountains, like you see behind me, were burned in the fire, which now causes concern for landslides, especially with snow on the ground. The creek fire burned 625 square miles. To put that into perspective, that's like the whole city of Los Angeles and then some burning down. Thousands of firefighters from California and surrounding states worked around the clock to save as much as they could. They reached full containment on Christmas Eve, right before the snow started to fall.
A Fresno State professor is leading the charge against major health problems. Many eyes in the scientific community are watching. Dr. Corinne Gousset has received a $1.3 million grant to help research health problems, including cancer. Dr. Gousset and her students have been studying small tubes that connect cells to each other called TNTs. Diseases, infections, and cancers use these tubes to spread throughout the body. Her students' ability to keep up with well-known research colleges has made the grant a special honor.
We're able to compete with, the big boys, basically. So that is, it's good. It just makes me happy that, our students can see that and first grade research. So I get emotional, but it's really, really good.
The 4-year grant will be used to learn more about TNTs and help buy more lab equipment.
School campuses are looking less and less like ghost towns. Signs of life are springing up at elementary schools across the valley. Cars scatter the parking lot, and teachers and administrators are settling back into their campus. At the same time, the doors are opening back up for students. With new safety and classroom procedures, both the teachers and the students are adapting to their new environments.
Great to have the kids back in person. I feel so much better as a teacher being able to share in their wins with them in person and seeing their faces as they speak with their peers and are able to just be at school physically.
Although in-person learning is back in play, families still have the option for their students to remain fully online. But for students who are back in person, there is a renewed sense of normalcy for them and their teachers.
There's not a whole lot of movement when it comes to a pandemic, with many people stuck at home. People are finding creative ways to stay active, making adjustments to still get their workout in.
Making up an excuse to avoid working out is one of the oldest tricks in the book. But after months of quarantine, Jacob King and many others are looking for any excuse to get out and get active again.
Just being able to leave the house and see new faces and sort of just get your mind out of your workplace as well as where you sleep and where you eat and all that, extremely important.
King is getting some help from Carter Schmazel, a strength and conditioning specialist here in Fresno. Schmazel has been making workout plans to help people maintain their fitness goals during quarantine. He says the benefits of working out are much more than physical results.
Not only does it helps you with like osteoporosis, joints and muscles looking good, but it also can help you with managing stress and trying to manage your time.
No bench press, no problem. You don't need a public gym or even a home gym. Schmazel says it's all about adapting and keeping it simple. Throwing in some sprints on a run around the block is more than enough.
A lot of workouts don't carry over to daily life, whereas I can like do sprints and jumps, which I mean, there is I feel like a better turnaround with working out to your daily life.
So get creative. You can create a workout routine right here from your desk chair, or even here on your favorite spot on the couch, watching your favorite TV show. If you're looking for a way to start working out but aren't sure where to start, Schmazel suggested looking to social media. There are plenty of good trainers and programs available. Just make sure that they're certified.
Well, now I really feel like I have no excuse not to work out. Wyatt, did you find your new favorite at-home workout?
Yeah, my favorite at-home workout, turning on Friends, crunching a few times, feeling good on the couch.
And get your steps in, walk to the fridge, grab a snack, walk back. Just make sure you're wearing, your Fitbit, Apple Watch.
Exactly. Nothing better than working out by grabbing something from the fridge as well.
Still to come on Fresno State Focus, how a new security procedure for all Fresno State students has left some students less than pleased with their new habit. And we'll get our first introduction to two of the members of our very own Fresno State Focus team.
I got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to say. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes, I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes, hey! Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head, deep in my heart. Down in my toes, I got that bulldog spirit. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart, deep in my heart. I got that bulldog spirit.
Fresno State sports are back on the fields and on the courts. With fall sports having more restrictions with the pandemic, volleyball and soccer are continuing their season this spring. Winter sports are still finishing their seasons, which includes men's and women's basketball, wrestling, swimming and dive, and equestrian. All spring sports will be playing this season, but no fans are allowed at any of the sporting events. The swim and dive team usually competes in the fall. This year, it was later, but they still got to compete and do well. Swim and dive athlete Tonya Gravia is here to talk about their season and how COVID affected it.
So I would say that COVID-19 pandemic had a huge impact on our team. First of all, usually we'd practice twice a day, and this year, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we were able to practice only once a day. And I feel like it really affected everyone's physical shape. Also, it really affected our team atmosphere because we were not able to do any kind of team bonding stuff. So yeah.
You guys made it to the conference championship this year. How proud are you of your team's success in such a weird year with COVID-19?
Yeah, this year has been so tough, and I'm really, really proud of my team and my teammates, because despite all the challenges that COVID has brought on us, everyone was maintaining positive attitude throughout the whole year, like whole training process and throughout the championship.
So now that was your final season at Fresno State, final season on swim and dive. Now you move on to the next chapter of your life. But before you move on, let's take a little bit of time to reflect on your time at Fresno State. How do you view your time here on the Fresno State swim and dive team?
So yeah, like you mentioned, it was my fourth championship, my last championship, and looking back, I'm very happy about my results and about my time being here, and I'm very, very thankful to Fresno State to taking a chance on me, and I'm very happy that I got this opportunity to develop and grow as an athlete and a student here.
Well, we've been speaking with Tonya Gravia. She's part of MCJ 128. She's a classmate of mine, and she's also on the Fresno State swim and dive team. Tonya, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
One of the many programs that builds the foundation of Fresno State is athletics, even if we can't be in the stands right now. Athletes come to Fresno State for different reasons, but the road of the walk-on is often the road less traveled. Robert Ortega Jr. introduces us to a football player who is navigating this road.
Cones, grass, and quick-moving feet are nothing new to Esteban Barragan. At a young age, he fell in love with football watching his older brother play.
I wanted to be the best version of my brothers, because I knew that they always played, so I wanted to be better than them. And I just practiced every day outside of my neighborhood with my neighbor.
Barragan was a key player on both offense and defense at Central Valley High School in Ceres, about an hour and a half north of Fresno. He was named an all-star for his district and was recruited to play on a full scholarship at a university in North Dakota. Although this was his dream, Barragan did not want to move so far away from home, so instead he made it his mission to walk on at Fresno State.
I wasn't on the football team my freshman year here, so I was just a regular student. just taking my classes. But I told myself that the only way I'm going to be on the team if I start training. So I was waking up at 5 in the morning every day.
Look. Badagan is now looking toward his second season as a running back with the team. He earned recognition as Practice Squad Player of the Week last season for the Bulldogs, but sets his sights towards a starting role and the chance at a scholarship in the years he has left.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as when he was a walk-on, early mornings, late nights, either by himself or with the team.
With the Bulldogs hard at work in spring training, be sure to look out for number 29 next year under the Saturday Night Lights. Reporting from Bulldog Stadium, Robert Ortega Jr., Fresno State Focus.
We are still unsure to what extent the Red Wave fans can line the stands of the Bulldog Stadium, but we look forward to seeing the team back in action August 28th against UConn.
Cell phones are distracting when taking an online class, but with the new two-step verification process, most students are now having to keep their cell phones beside them during class to log into Canvas. It's an extra step meant to keep our information secure, but many students are finding it more annoying than helpful. Before the new process, one student kept her phone in another room to help her focus on school, but now she feels thrown off track. She's having to leave her study area to bring her phone into a room that was once distraction-free.
It's upsetting to me because I'm like, oh, my phone's here. And then I'm like, oh, I get more distracted with my phone being there, having that there.
Despite all the negative feedback, the two-step verification process is staying, according to Campus Technology Services. So it's something we'll all have to get used to and find alternative ways to stay focused with all the cell phones nearby. Now it's time to start meeting the team. Throughout this semester, we will introduce you to this broadcast news capstone class. We all create this week's half-hour newscast on the top of all of our other classes, work, sports, and our lives. Sometimes we're not sure how to get it all done. Meet Jaslyn. Jaslyn Villapando works at the Madera Community Hospital and attends Fresno State. She is in the RT DNA Club and owns her own business. She makes beauty products like eyelashes and lipstick. She loves doing TED Talks in her free time and one day hopes to become a motivational speaker, traveling the world to inspire others.
I just love sharing positive affirmations and positive messages, especially for students or workers that try to manage a lot of things in their life all at once.
Jaslyn will graduate in May and hopes to start her own podcast entitled Jazz Desire to Inspire.
Now it's time to meet full-time student, entrepreneur, and athlete Carissa King, who is known as the Rodeo Queen. Carissa is part of the women's equestrian team where she competes in the reining. Riding horses and spending time with family is just a few things on the list of things she loves. She also has her own business creating customized denim jackets. Carissa travels around California as a rodeo queen representing the sport of rodeo.
It is something that I absolutely love to do. It is definitely going to help me get my foot in the door with what I want my future career to be, which would be being a sports reporter and a sideline reporter for the sport of rodeo and other horse-related events.
It is Carissa's senior year and she'll be graduating in fall, pursuing her dream of becoming a sports reporter.
Well, Ashley, Carissa may be a rodeo queen. I, on the other hand, would be a rodeo clown.
Luckily, our classmate Jaslyn owns a makeup business, so I think she might be able to help you out with your look.
I don't know if that's going to help me at all, but we can give it a shot.
Next week on Fresno State Focus, students are running their own businesses while still going to school. We show you how they're building their own small businesses from home.
Plus, a look at how pets have been the solution for some students during these difficult times. Also, we have an update on how the swim and dive team conference went.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.